What up, it's Chris from Laser Lemming, and I am back like a heart attack. Hopefully you never have a heart attack or anybody in your family. Heart attacks are serious business. Anyway, let's talk about E3. It's happening this week. I wish I would have talked about it a little bit earlier, like Monday or Tuesday or even Wednesday when I'm recording this. But, things happen. However, side note, things like this, progress, you're going to be seeing a lot more of that. I have a new plan for my life, for your life. Lots more videos coming on this channel and my comedy channel, and this is going to be a consistent thing. You gotta work hard. Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, let's talk about some E3 news. There's a lot to cover in this video. I'm not going to make it too long, so I'm going to focus on mainly the systems, or lack thereof, and a little bit about the console owners, maybe some game stuff too. First, let's talk about Scorpio and the Xbox One S. Microsoft came out swinging on Monday with the Xbox One S, white, smaller Xbox One. I think they called it their smallest Xbox ever, which is not saying anything at all because the Xbox systems have always been big. The Xbox One just took it to a new level because they did not want another 360 fiasco happening where every system was melting. Now, because this is the smallest Xbox ever, I'm kind of worried that, we might have another 360 fiasco. We might have more systems suddenly breaking. But that's coming. It's starting at $299. They've been a little fuzzy about the details. I've heard a couple different things. I've heard that starting at $299, you get a 500 gig hard drive rather than the 2 terabyte hard drive that they've been advertising. There was also a rumor going around that it wasn't going to come with a controller, but it's coming with a controller as far as I know. So you got your $299 base model, and somewhere along the line you have a 2 terabyte model. Cool, 2 terabytes. I have a PS4 right now, 500 gigabytes. I want to change that hard drive sucker out right now because I'm already out of room. 2 terabytes, it's better than 500 gigabytes, hands down. Now, there's also the Xbox One Scorpio. Microsoft felt the heat of Sony. They felt the heat of the PS4. The backs were against the wall because rumors about the PS4K, the PS4 Neo had been swirling like a tornado these last few months, and Microsoft felt the pressure. They didn't want to be out announced here. Even though, they've gone back and forth saying, console cycle like smartphones would be good, and then, Phil Spencer later said something along the lines that sounds kind of gross, but now they're all gung-ho about it. They're saying that Xbox One Scorpio is going to be the most powerful system ever, the most powerful console on the market. So they're already very confident that they're going to outspec the PS4K. And they already gave the specs for it. They said it's going to have 6 teraflops, 150 billion gigawatts of power. It's going to be the most powerful console, not PC, even though these are all PCs on the inside, all pink on the inside. These are the most powerful consoles Microsoft will ever produce until they produce a more powerful one after that. But that also means this thing's going to cost some money. It's going to cost some dough. Remember when the Xbox One first came out with the Kinect? Which, by the way, the Xbox One S does not have a Kinect port built into it. If that isn't a death knell for the system, or not the system, but the camera itself, if that isn't proof that Microsoft has given up on the Kinect, nothing is. You have to get a dongle, a separate USB dongle, just to connect the Kinect to the system. Anyway, $500 Xbox One came out at. Did not do well. Now, it didn't help that Microsoft, put their foot in their mouth and just destroyed and deflated any hype the system had right from the get-go when they announced the system. With was always online, no use games, bullshit. But they got some goodwill back. Years have passed. The system is business as usual. That's the way it runs. That's the way it operates. Xbox Scorpio, or whatever they end up calling it, will be in line with that. The more and more games require online connections, the more and more Microsoft will get their way. Also on that note, Microsoft announced all these games that are cross-play, Xbox One and Windows 10. That's what they called every exclusive out there. They said exclusive for Xbox One and Windows 10. You gotta buy it digitally. That's what Microsoft wants you to do. They get much more of a cut when you buy it digitally. So Well, especially if it's a first-party game. Maybe not so much with a third-party game, but they want you to buy it digitally. They don't want you owning the disc. They don't care. They want the disc to be useless. We're very okay with it with Steam. We haven't gotten there with consoles. Particularly when you have a slimy company like Microsoft running it and pushing it. However, Phil Spencer is a better dude than the fucker in the picture I'm showing you right now. So, we've got the Xbox One Scorpio. It's going to cost a lot because it's going to be a powerful system. Microsoft wants to outspec Sony, and by all means, they know that they will, because they talk to the same developers and hardware manufacturers, chip manufacturers, whoever. They know roughly what the PS4K is going to be running with, and it's not going to be as good as the Xbox One Scorpio by all accounts. So, will that matter? Will the PS4 Neo need to be more powerful than the Xbox One Scorpio? No! No! As a matter of fact, it won't. The PlayStation 2 was significantly less powerful than the Xbox. It didn't matter. The PlayStation 3 was more powerful in some respects than the Xbox 360. Also didn't matter. Because these systems already have a huge fan base. Particularly the PlayStation 4. They are the clear winner right now. And it's no surprise that Microsoft would like to change the way things are working. They already went and changed a lot of their plans. They also said that you can now play Xbox Live games with other systems. They were even open to PlayStation 4 owners playing with Xbox owners, and probably Nintendo owners as well as PC. Microsoft is changing their plans. They don't want Xbox to be a system. It's called the Xbox, but they want this to be a brand. And it's clear from what Phil Spencer is saying, every time he talks about it, he wants Xbox to be an experience, not necessarily something you're tied to as a system. Look out for it. I'm right about this. Anyway, no PlayStation 4 Neo. No PlayStation 4 Neo. Granted, they didn't show the Xbox One Scorpio, but they did give it all the specs. They talked about it straight up. They said, this is going to be a new system, but you're going to be able to play all the same games. It's not going to affect or hurt you negatively. There's not going to be any games exclusive to the Xbox One Scorpio, meaning if there's a game exclusive to the Xbox One, you'll also be able to play it on the Scorpio and vice versa. PlayStation 4 will probably be the same with the Neo, but Sony isn't talking. In fact, I can't remember his name, but one of Sony's main boys, he said recently he was surprised that Microsoft talked about the Scorpio because stuff's not coming out for a while. Xbox One S doesn't come out for a little bit, I believe, and the Scorpio really isn't coming out until probably the end of next year. Microsoft is just talking at this point. It's all hypothetical. This is all specs on paper. There's nothing built yet. Nothing to put in a box and ship to you until the end of next year. PS4 Neo, probably the same deal. When the hell's the NX coming? Nintendo says by March, but probably not. Probably around the same time, unfortunately. I'm hoping by March, Nintendo, please. Anyway, PS4 Neo is coming out whenever the hell. And the guy says, I'm surprised that Microsoft showed this system. When we first announced the PlayStation 4, people got on us for not showing the console. And they went ahead and did it. Funny thing about that is Major Nelson got called out for a tweet he made criticizing Sony back in 2013 when he said about Sony's PlayStation 4 reveal. It's kind of weird, I'm just generalizing here, but he said it's kind of weird to show or announce a system without actually showing the console. People called him out and he said, well, it worked for them. And what he means by that is the PlayStation 4 is kicking their ass. So he's saying it's okay not to show the system now, and Sony's saying it's kind of weird that they didn't show the system. We thought that was kind of a good point, that we should have showed the system. So, kind of a flipping of minds here, changing of perspectives. But Sony's still in the lead, and when the Scorpio comes out, they are still the challenger. They're not the incumbent here. I think I got that right. But PlayStation 4 still has the huge fan base, and if these systems are still playing with each other, meaning you don't need to get the new system to play the old games, or the new games for that matter, Sony still has a huge advantage, because they're still going to call these the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One generation for the time being, until the next iteration happens in a few years after that. But that's an interesting little tidbit. I thought I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Also want to talk a little bit about Nintendo. A little bit about Nintendo. The other company that didn't really show up too much at E3, except by making the most fantastical talked about game of the show, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That's the official name for The Legend of Zelda Wii U/NX. If you haven't seen it by now, it's a gorgeous looking game. It's a Zelda game. It's been in development for probably about 6 years now. And finally has a name. It's the only game Nintendo's letting people play this year, I believe. And that's a crying shame. They didn't have a direct. They didn't have a press conference. They could have blown it out of the water by being the only company with a new console this year, but they're not doing it. Nintendo's main boy in Canada also forgot his name. He recently stated that, he stated it in French, but I'm going to say my rough translation in English that somebody else translated. He said that we're talking about Zelda right now. It's about Zelda. NX we're going to talk about in the fall. Now, we kind of already knew that because Nintendo said that they're going to talk about the NX later this year. They're going to talk about the price, release date, etc., etc. You know, that's when you'll get the disappointing news about the price and the release date. But we do have an idea now. We do have word from Nintendo that the system is going to be announced, shown off. Even though it's already been announced, it's going to be shown off in the fall. We don't know that about the Scorpio or the PlayStation 4 Neo. In fact, it's probably safe to say you're not going to see those at all until next E3 or maybe a little bit before that, but not this year. So that's the facts. Them's the facts. I'd like to know your thoughts. What do you think about new systems? They're a reality. Everyone's confirmed them now. In fact, it's kind of weird. Nintendo was in a weird spot before because they were going to be releasing a new system in a year, in the middle of a generation, and it just seemed like they were just kind of becoming the ultimate runner to their own drum. You know what I'm saying? They were playing by their own rules. All of a sudden, both of their competitors are coming out with a new system in the same year. It's weird. Now, if the NX stacks up hardware-wise, they're back in the game. People were kind of criticizing them already and freaking out because Ubisoft, you remember Ubisoft, they announced that Just Dance 2017 was going to be hitting the NX. One of the very few third-party games announced for the system. And Ubisoft's main boy, everybody's a main boy today, Ubisoft's main boy said that the NX is, he had positive words about it. I'm not going to pretend like I remember the quote, but he essentially said that it's a great family system. And people are freaking out about that. They're thinking Nintendo is trying to be the Wii again. They're trying to get that flash-in-the-pan success. It's not going to happen. You know what? I don't think that's anything to freak out about. Maybe for third-party support from companies like Ubisoft, because they're already viewing the system that way. I think that Ubisoft views Nintendo systems now strictly from that perspective. They want it to be their family system because they come out with games that aren't just Assassin's Creed, Ghost Recon, Far Cry. They're mature games. They want to also appeal to wider audiences. Ubisoft just wants to be the god among men. But I think they're kind of projecting an image onto it. Now granted, Nintendo does want to capture families. I also think that they're trying to get a little bit more focused. This system, if it really is true that they're going to be able to make games for both their handheld and console that run together seamlessly, meaning they can make one game for their handheld that will run on their console and vice versa. As much or as little third-party support as they have, at least they'll be able to pump out a decent stream of games on their own. It would be nice to have third-party support though, Nintendo, Ubisoft, EA, Activision, and I don't just mean Skylanders and Just Dance. I would like some good games, some games that appeal to me as well, because I'm a pretty important demographic. But them is my thoughts. Let me know yours. Comment section below. What do you think about E3? What do you think about the lack of actual new consoles? Normally you wouldn't expect it at all this late or early into the generation, but some people did. I'd like to know your thoughts. Comment below. There's going to be a lot more videos coming, specifically starting next week, but I'll try some more this week if I can. Thanks for watching. Subscribe more if you haven't already. I'll see you next time.